Welcome back to Memory Sleep. Today we're rewinding to the groovy 1970s, a world of 3-channel TVs, mixtapes made with pencils, mushroom-themed kitchens, and those legendary metal lunchboxes. Together we'll explore 13 everyday things kids today would never understand. From Polaroid snaps and Underoos to Hitchhiking Adventures and pull-tab soda cans. If nostalgia makes you smile, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a trip down memory lane. After watching, drop a comment telling us what time it is right now in your country. We love seeing our global community in real time each day. Picture this. It's a weeknight in 1976, and prime time is creeping closer. You've finished your homework, poured a glass of Tang, and now you're parked on shag carpet in front of a walnut-boxed television. The glow from that screen feels ceremonial because it's your only window to the wider world. There's no streaming menu, no algorithm. There are the 3 networks and whatever public station your antenna can coax from the ether. Before you can settle in, you have to make a choice. Do you stick with the variety show coming up on CBS or gamble on ABC's Movie of the Week? The answer involves standing up, crossing the room, and twisting a chunky chrome dial that clunks from channel to channel. The knob's satisfying resistance is half the experience. You can feel the signal lock as the picture snaps from static to motion. Overshoot your selection, and you do the whole ritual again. There's no remote, only your patience. Saturday mornings are when the routine turns pure joy. You wake with the sun, tiptoe past creaking bedroom doors, and claim pole position on the couch while the set warms up. A slow bloom from darkness to color like sunrise itself. Cereal in hand, you binge the cartoon block curated like precious jewels. Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, Schoolhouse Rock. Missing even 5 minutes feels catastrophic. There's no replay button to rescue you. Scarcity does something magical to your imagination. With only a handful of programs, Playground Talk on Monday revolves around shared references. Everyone saw the same villain unmasking, the same sitcom pratfall. Television becomes communal rather than isolating. You and your friends replay favorite moments, swapping lines remembered with devotional accuracy. When fall premiere season arrives, glossy TV guide spreads become treasure maps, and households plan dinners around must-see nights. The set also turns you into a low-tech engineer. Your relationship with the antenna, whether rabbit ears perched like chrome insect limbs or a hulking rooftop rotor, is intimate and often adversarial. A sudden storm sends you scurrying to reposition the rods, adjusting them millimeter by millimeter while someone calls from the couch, "Hold it!" The mix of frustration and triumph when the picture sharpens teaches persistence better than any after-school special. Even the absence of content shapes your routine. When the national anthem plays and the screen fades to a test pattern or pure black, that's your cue for bed. Broadcast day is over. The world, it seems, has signed off. That enforced quiet nudges you toward books, board games, or simple conversation. Luxury's constant 24-hour programming has nearly erased. Looking back, you realize that the physicality, the waiting, and the limited avenues of escape stitch television deeply into daily life. Each spin of the dial, each carefully timed bathroom break during commercials, forged memories as vivid as the shows themselves. Revisiting an old episode online now, you might find the writing corny or the effects clunky, but you'll also feel the ghost of that living room glow, reminding you that scarcity can turn ordinary moments into cherished rituals. Commercial breaks become micro-marathons. They're your window to grab more high C, check the casserole, or dash to the bathroom before the theme song returns. You learn to time these sprints by jingles so catchy they outlast algebra formulas in your memory. Ask anyone from the era to finish, "I'd like to teach the world to sing," and watch them oblige. Proof that advertisers ruled the airwaves. Family dynamics revolve around that flickering box. Dad claims Sunday for the NFL doubleheader, giving the cabinet a practice slap when the vertical hold drifts. Mom negotiates Wednesday to follow her favorite detective. You bargain for Thursday's sitcom lineup, offering extra chores for control of the dial. The set becomes a democratic battleground where age and cunning decide what everyone watches, a cry from individual screens today. So as you settle into this nostalgic tour, keep that scene in mind. The shag carpet under your legs, the hum of vacuum tubes warming behind wood veneer, and the knowledge that what you're about to watch exists here and only now. That mindset, born of limited channels and manual dials, is the lens through which an entire generation discovered wonder. The moment the screen in your living room finally sizzles to black for the night, you're still buzzing from the day's tiny victories with that stubborn channel dial. So you slide across the shag carpet, flick on the bedside transistor, and let the soft hiss of the FM band replace the TV's fading glow. Radio isn't just background noise, it's the arena where you can wrest a little control back from the schedule gods who dictate what's on television. Out here, after sundown, the nightly countdowns feel lawless and alive. Every song is a possibility waiting to be trapped on magnetic tape. Your cassette deck sits on the dresser like a patient accomplice, chrome buttons gleaming under the bedroom lamp. You've already punched out the plastic tabs on a fresh 60-minute tape, saving side A for up-tempo gold and side B for late-night slow burns. The next step looks simple. Slide the cassette in, cue the radio, press record. But you know better. This is precision work. It starts with studying the DJ's rhythm, how long he rambles before the first chord, how much dead air he leaves between songs, how quickly he fades the outro. You lean in, fingers poised above the play and record keys, breathing with the music so your timing feels instinctive rather than mechanical. Patience becomes a kind of meditation. You sit perfectly still, waiting for that one track that defines your summer, and the house around you adjusts. The hallway light clicks off. A screen door creaks. Wind toys with the maple outside. When the opening riff finally crackles through the speaker, adrenaline spikes. You drop both buttons in one practiced slap, praying the DJ won't talk over the intro tonight. Of course he does. He always does. But you're learning to live with imperfections. Those stray words become fingerprints. Anyone can stream a flawless MP3 someday. But only you possess a copy where the local host laughs right over the first snare hit. Not every attempt ends in triumph. Sometimes the song fades early, the battery light flashes red, or your kid sister barges in and yells your name, scarring side A with sibling static. Worse yet, the tape stops rewinding and you hear that sickening crunch of twisted oxide. Panic gives way to ingenuity. Grab a yellow numbered 2 pencil, slide it into the sprocket, and coax the ribbon back into its shell with slow, surgeon-steady turns. Each rescue leaves a faint wrinkle you'll hear forever as a soft warble, but it also brands the track with a memory no algorithm can simulate. Over weeks, the cassette evolves from raw recordings into a curated narrative. You trim dead air with the pause button, shuffle tracks until the mood flows, and scribble an earnest title on the J-card in neon gel pen. Maybe it's for your best friend heading to camp or the crush who laughs at your bad jokes between classes. You agonize over song order the way chefs fuss with seasoning, hunting for the perfect transition that makes side B feel like a secret whispered in the dark. When you finally snap the case shut, you're holding more than music. You're holding a portable time capsule authored entirely by you. Portability is the real revolution. Slip the mixtape into a chunky, silver-buttoned Walkman, and the world becomes your personal soundtrack. Bike rides, school bus windows, even lawn mowing duty are transformed by headphones that seal you inside your own cinematic universe. Unlike television, where everyone fought for the same couch cushion, a cassette lets you carve private listening space wherever you go. In a decade of shared screens and family schedules, that freedom tastes subversive. The social currency of these homemade compilations can't be overstated. Trading tapes at lunch is equal parts gift exchange and vow of friendship. You learn quickly that songs carry coded messages. Empathy in a ballad, encouragement in an anthem, maybe a confession hiding behind a chorus. Each hiss between tracks reminds the listener you were there, breathing beside the radio at 11:47 p.m. Sacrificing sleep so they could feel understood 3 days later on the back of the bus. Years from now, you'll queue up a pristine digital playlist with a voice command, and it will sound amazing. No dropouts, no DJ chatter, no tape hiss. Yet something will feel missing, like a photo without its bent corners and sun-bleached edges. That something is the handiwork, the waiting, the accidental moments baked into brown magnetic ribbon. Just as turning a TV dial taught you to savor scarcity, crafting a mixtape teaches you to honor effort. Each click, rewind, and pencil spin is proof that music was once earned, not summoned. So when the next track ends and the DJ teases tomorrow's lineup, you don't mind the late hour. You pop the cassette, label it Night Drive Gems, and slide in a blank. Another canvas ready for sound. Outside, the maple rustles like applause. And you realize that while screens may have dictated your evenings, tapes allow you to author your own. In the dance between scarcity and creativity, you've found a space where patience becomes art. And every imperfect recording tells the fuller story of you. Last night's mixtape marathon may have ended with the squeak of a pencil rescuing a mangled cassette. But morning breaks with a different ritual of self-expression. You tumble out of bed, thumb still stained with ferric oxide dust, and reach into the dresser for the one outfit that can match the soundtrack you crafted in the dark. A brightly colored set of Underoos. Seconds later, you are no longer the kid who fell asleep beside a hissing radio. You're a caped crusader, ready to patrol kitchen countertops and hallway city streets. These weren't just cotton briefs and a matching tee. They were wearable permission slips for unbridled imagination. The moment you pulled the shirt over your head, its bold chest emblem settled like a badge, telling the world, really telling you, that extraordinary things were expected today. The briefs completed the illusion, hugging your hips with the exact color scheme of your favorite comic book panels. Suddenly, the breakfast table became a rooftop ledge, and a leap from the couch counted as flight because the outfit said so. Underoos turned every domestic chore into a side quest. Take out the trash? No. Smuggle kryptonite to the curb. Buying a new set was a ceremony all its own. At the department store, glossy boxes lined the shelves at knee level, positioned so kids, not parents, would spot them first. You knelt under the buzzing fluorescence, flipping through plastic windows that framed Wonder Woman's eagle crest or Spider-Man's webbed torso. Choosing the right graphic felt as consequential as picking a team in gym class. You clutched the box to your chest all the way to the checkout, convinced everyone in the store recognized you as the hero on the cover. Back home, the fusion of costume and underwear meant the fantasy could last beyond playtime. Mom might insist you put jeans and a sweater over the top before heading to the grocery store. But you knew the truth. Clark Kent was a disguise, not the other way around. Even mundane errands pulsed with secret identity thrills, because beneath the layers your hero suit waited, ready to explode into action if danger, or the neighbor's yappy dachshund, struck. The garments themselves were built for repeat missions. After a long day of rooftop rescues and living room somersaults, they went into the wash with grass-stained knees and sticky Pop-Tart frosting. By Tuesday, they were back in rotation. Colors still blazing despite the punishing cycle of 1970s washing machines and detergent meant for work shirts. Each fade or fray became battle damage, proof of daring exploits nobody else had witnessed. Of course, grown-ups saw them differently. Parents appreciated the 2-for-1 practicality. Satisfy Halloween urges, skip the argument about getting dressed, and still tick the clean underwear box. Advertising executives saw dollar signs turning superheroes into breakfast cereal mascots and Saturday morning commercials. But you saw limitless agency. In an era before endlessly customizable video game avatars, a pair of Underoos let you author the day's narrative as completely as last night's mixtape let you score it. Both artifacts required hands-on curation, one in fabric, the other in magnetic tape. And together they formed a DIY identity kit that no algorithm could auto-generate. Today's kids can open an app and slap a digital cape on a selfie in seconds. But the spell breaks as soon as the screen locks. Your transformation was tactile. The elastic snap at your waist, the way the shirt clung to your shoulders, even the faint chemical scent of fresh screen printing grounded the fantasy in flesh and thread. When cousins came over, a shortage of hero sets forced real-time negotiations. Batman trades with Captain America, and somebody settles for the plain white Fruit of the Loom sidekick. That scarcity taught improvisation, collaboration, and maybe a little benevolent tyranny from whoever found the cape first. As you race down the hallway, the mixtape still spinning in your Walkman, you realize how seamlessly these two analog arts interlock. The song you captured through static fuels the swagger in your stride. The outfit amplifies every chord into a cinematic score. Both demand patience and hands-on effort, and both reward you with a sense of authorship over your own fun. You're not consuming entertainment, you're inhabiting it. Later, when the day winds down and your heroic core outfit heads back to the laundry basket, you'll cue up side B of the cassette and start planning tomorrow's adventure. Maybe record store reconnaissance or a backyard hitchhiking expedition. For now, though, you stick the landing off the sofa arm, raise a fist to an imaginary skyline, and feel the cotton stretch just enough to remind you the suit is real. In that instant, the world bends to your story. And it all started with a simple decision: to dress like the hero you already believed you were. After a morning spent leaping off the sofa in your Underoos, you trade cape for sneakers and hop into the family station wagon. The mission now shifts from saving imaginary cityscapes to hunting for the perfect soundtrack to accompany tomorrow's adventures. Your destination is the local record store, the temple of wax and wonder that every kid, teen and restless soul seems magnetized to on a Saturday. The moment you push through the glass door, a bell jingles overhead, and the smell of cardboard sleeves and fresh vinyl washes over you. Rows of wooden bins stretch out like library stacks, each divided by hand-lettered genre cards that promise everything from glittery disco to fuzz-drenched rock. You run your thumb along the tops of albums, flipping them forward in a rhythmic clack-clack that feels almost percussive. Here, cover art is currency. Airbrushed dragons, neon city skylines, minimalist black and white portraits, all begging to be judged by their jackets before you ever hear a single note. This shop is more than a retail stop. It's a clubhouse without membership dues. Groups of friends huddle near the new release wall, debating guitar solos the way sports fans argue batting averages. Older kids in denim cutoffs compare tour stories, while a pair of shy freshmen whisper over a stack of 45s, plotting who will summon the nerve to request a spin at the listening station. That communal energy is baked into the place. Record stores in the 70s doubled as social gathering spots where young people could browse, hang out, and even audition entire albums before handing over allowance money. The staff amplifies that vibe. Behind the counter stands a clerk sporting fringe bangs and an encyclopedic grasp of B-sides. She isn't just ringing up sales, she's curating your taste. Mention you liked last night's mixtape opener, and she'll pull a hidden gem from beneath the register, swearing the bass line will melt your brain. Enthusiasm drips from every recommendation, and soon you're chatting with a stranger, flipping through the same stack, bonded instantly by a shared love of wah-wah guitar. Such impromptu conversations are the norm. Store employees are music evangelists, and other customers are potential pen pals trading liner note trivia. You eventually claim a spot at a battered turntable perched on a counter littered with pencil-scribbled set lists. Dropping the needle demands a surgeon's focus. Too heavy a hand, and the stylus skates sideways, scarring side A forever. But when that first warm crackle gives way to drums, the entire shop seems to hover, waiting to see if you approve. Nod your head, and nearby browsers will angle closer, hungry to eavesdrop on the groove you've discovered. Buying a record is a tactile contract. Glossy sleeve against palm, liner notes tucked like secret scrolls inside, and a circular black promise of 20 glorious minutes per side. You slide your new trophy into a brown paper bag, already picturing tomorrow's ritual, gently lowering the needle at home, studying lyrics as though decoding sacred text, and maybe drafting another mixtape to capture the standout track before school Monday. Outside, someone's parked van rattles with its own freshly purchased LP echoing through open windows. Friends climb in and argue about which cut is single material, while you hike your bag higher and feel an electric sense of belonging. The record store has performed its alchemy, turning a random group of strangers into a tribe bonded by rhythm and rediscovery. Later, when streaming libraries claim to offer every song ever recorded, you'll miss this pilgrimage. Algorithms will predict your preferences with spooky accuracy, but they won't hand you a sleeve still warm from the bin or introduce you to the bassist's side project between bites of a corn dog from the cart outside. They certainly won't replay the nervous thrill of asking the clerk to break the shrink wrap so you can hear track 2 through communal headphones. What makes that bygone scene linger is the same quality that powered last night's cassette session and this morning's superhero stride. Effort. You invested time, conversation, and a few crumpled bills into music you could physically hold. Like scribbling song titles on a J-card or pulling a cape over your pajamas, flipping through vinyl was an act of authorship. One more way to declare who you wanted to be. The local record store was a special place, an experience almost impossible to replicate today. So before you head home, you take one last look back through the window. Inside, the clerk drops a needle, the bell at the door rings again, and a fresh wave of wide-eyed explorers filter in, each searching for their next anthem, just as you were minutes ago. The soundtrack of your youth is alive and spinning, waiting for anyone willing to dig through the stacks and claim it. You step back onto the sidewalk outside the record store, paper bag of freshly pressed vinyl tucked under your arm, and feel the afternoon sun flatten the parking lot asphalt into rippling mirage. Bus fare is non-existent. Your Schwinn is at home with a flat tire, and you've got a lake 2 towns over calling your name. So you do what thousands of teenagers, college kids, and off-duty GIs do this decade. You walk to the edge of the on-ramp, stick out your thumb, and wait for the highway to answer. Hitchhiking in the 70s is less transaction than conversation. The rules are mostly unwritten. Keep your sign simple, just West, scrawled on a notebook cover. Stand where drivers can safely pull over, and flash a smile that says, "You're more Kerouac than criminal." In a moment, the brakes of a dusty Dodge Dart squeal. Gravel pops under bald tires, and the passenger door swings open like an invitation to a story you haven't read yet. Accepting that ride isn't just about saving gas money. It's a trust exercise with a total stranger. A handshake between wanderers who believe the open road is kinder than the evening news suggests. According to recollection-laden accounts from the era, drivers would often not hesitate to pick up hitchhikers, viewing the gesture as a small civic duty, a way to help out a fellow traveler. The interior of the car is its own universe. Bench seats sticky with vinyl, 8-track cartridge halfway through Hotel California, fast food wrappers fluttering in the footwell. Introductions are quick. Name, destination, maybe a hometown. After that, conversation ranges anywhere. Your latest record store find, their service in the Navy, shared disdain for disco, or which stretch of interstate has the cleanest rest stop bathrooms. There's camaraderie here, a sense that everyone is a potential co-author of the same roaming adventure. Because in an age before GPS and cell phones, the map is as fluid as the driver's whim. More than once, you'll jump out at a crossroads, swap vinyl recommendations through the window, and watch the car shrink to a dot while you plot the next leg. Of course, every hitchhiker carries a mental playbook for staying safe. Keep your bag on your lap, note the license plate, and trust gut instincts honed on late-night true crime specials. There was more of a sense of camaraderie on the open road back then, the memories say, but it wasn't without risk. You might encounter a few weirdos, and that was just part of the fun. Most rides end with nothing more eventful than a firm handshake at a truck stop diner. Yet every thumb-out moment balances exhilaration against the unknown. The mosaic of people you meet could populate its own double-album concept record. A Vietnam vet easing back into civilian life, a college student hauling a backpack full of poetry books, a barefoot hippie strumming a beat-up Martin guitar. Service member, student, or even a hippie. Anyone might be thumbing a ride or offering one. Each passenger seat becomes a confessional booth, where secrets spill faster than mile markers. Breakups, draft lotteries, dreams of opening a record store that stocks only rare imports. By the time you're dropped at the lake, you've traded addresses on notebook paper and promised to send a postcard if you ever make it to Portland. The economics are unbeatable. No bus schedules, no ticket stubs, yet the real currency is freedom. Hitchhiking turns geography into improv theater. An unexpected detour down Route 66 might lead to a roadside flea market where you score a bootleg 45, or to a drive-in showing Star Wars beneath a canopy of desert stars. Those serendipitous tangents, impossible to duplicate with today's rideshare algorithms, feel like proof that the universe rewards curiosity. As twilight gathers, you thumb the return leg home, sleep rumpled, but rich with stories. The vinyl you bought now has context. It's the album that rode shotgun through a stranger's speakers and soundtracked a conversation about whether cassettes will ever outsell LPs. Back in your bedroom, you slide the record from its sleeve, lower the needle, and recognize the faint smell of engine exhaust still clinging to your jacket. The crackle before the first track cues a grin. You can almost taste the dust of the highway. Decades later, legislation and liability will shutter this rite of passage. Many states now deem roadside thumbing illegal, and parents who once relied on strangers' kindness will warn their kids to call an Uber. Convenience wins, safety improves, yet something ineffable, an unfiltered leap of faith, fades. Your memories, though, stay vivid. The warmth of a dashboard at sunset, the awkward silence that turned into a duet of off-key harmonies, the realization that America's vastness feels smaller when everyone shares the same asphalt storybook. So next time you stream a playlist that predicts your mood or summon a car with a tap, remember the version of you standing by the shoulder, record bag in hand, thumb in the air. That simple gesture was a passport to possibility, a real-world algorithm built on hope, chance, and the belief that most people, given the opportunity, will steer toward kindness. The ride drops you outside a roadside diner glowing in neon orange. And as the Dodge Dart rumbles back onto the highway, you catch your reflection in the plate glass window. The driver's rear view mirror has already hinted at it. But here under fluorescent lights, you really see how the decade is styling you. Your hair has inched past your ears, tapering into sideburns you've been nursing all summer. A shadow of a mustache is finally dark enough to warrant the first cautious swipe of Dad's Track 2 tomorrow morning. In the doorway, a trio of regulars, one in oversized aviators, another with a salt and pepper perm, all three sporting open collars, nod hello. And you realize the diner is as much a runway as a pit stop. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of frying onions, coffee, and that unmistakable aftershave cocktail. Equal parts brute, Old Spice, and the brisk snap of skin braced by alcohol. The 70s version of masculine is practically tangible. A cloud chased by oscillating ceiling fans. The men who inhabit it wear their grooming like armor. Mustaches trimmed to perfect symmetry, sideburns sculpted with barber's clippers, hair blown dry into feathered waves that hover over shirt collars. The narrator on the mixtape in your head whispers that the look is all about the macho. And he's right. The style project is as deliberate as any workout routine. You slide into a vinyl booth and shrug off your denim jacket. The buttons of your polyester shirt are spaced just far enough apart that the top two can stay undone without inviting scandal. Standard operating procedure if you want to keep pace with the bravado swirling around you. A few tables over, a man bends to retrieve a dropped napkin, exposing a gold medallion gleaming against a chest forested like Yosemite. Nobody blinks. Showing off just enough chest hair is a statement piece, like pulling a guitar solo in the middle of a power ballad. Waiting for your burger, you take inventory of the ensemble you've been casually assembling since junior high. The shirt, a saturated rust orange that might blind in direct sunlight, boasts a pointed collar wide enough to flap in a stiff breeze. Its synthetic fibers trap heat but refuse to wrinkle, which suits the road warrior lifestyle you've chosen for the day. Below the table are bell-bottom jeans, hugging the thighs, and then flaring over crepe-soled shoes that add an inch of height you'll never admit you wanted. Retail ads call this silhouette confident. Your older cousin calls it peacocking. And secretly, you enjoy how the hem sways like a curtain with every step. When the waitress refills your Coke, her eyes linger on your wrist, where a chunky digital watch blinks amber digits. Another table hosts a Sears catalog of male accessories, leather cuffs, mood rings, maybe a St. Christopher medal for good measure. Together they form a portable resume, part style, part statement that you care enough to coordinate. The corduroy newsboy cap you bought at a thrift stall this morning rides shotgun on the seat, waiting for sunset when the diner's fluorescents give way to sodium streetlights and the hat's velveteen texture catches shadows just right. Fashion here is performance, but it's also conversation. The man in aviators asks whether platform shoes beat cowboy boots for hitchhiking traction. You counter that nothing grips asphalt like waffle tread sneakers. And soon the booth has morphed into a barbershop debate about grooming hacks. Which pomade stands up to helmet hair on a motorcycle? Whether the new disposable razors nick less than safety blades, the merits of aftershave versus cologne. The shared language is tactile. Razor burn, polyester cling, the satisfying snap of an 8-track cartridge that matches your shirt. You pay the check, slide back into your jacket, and step outside where dusk paints the parking lot gold. Everything about your outfit, the sideburns, the cologne halo, the impossible flare of your jeans, acts like Velcro for memories. Later, when someone flips through an old Polaroid and laughs at the audacity of your open collar, you'll remember how the wind felt sneaking through that V-shaped gap on a highway overpass. You'll recall the way complete strangers offered style tips between mouthfuls of fries, as if good grooming were community service. On the shoulder again, thumb outstretched, you settle into the stance of a seasoned traveler. The road may provide the miles, but your look sets the tempo. Every rumble of passing engines vibrates through the soles of your platforms, or sneakers, depending on the day. Every glint of sunset off a gold chain reminds you to keep 2 buttons undone, because somewhere ahead, another diner awaits. Another stage, another audience, another chance for your 70s swagger to walk right in and claim the room. You step away from the diner's neon wash, polyester collar still framing the aftershave haze you bragged about inside, and spot a knot of girls circling a station wagon under the parking lot floodlight. Each wields a plastic spray bottle the color of orange sherbet. One lifts her bangs, another flips her ponytail, and the air snaps with a citrus chemical mist. Sun In, the decade's shortcut to California blonde dreams. The label promises sun-kissed highlights in one weekend. Its directions printed in bubble letters that dare you to ignore the fine print about brassiness. You can smell the lemon peroxide mix from 3 parking spaces away, blending with warm vinyl dashboards and distant charcoal grills to create the midsummer soundtrack for your nose. Some swear it works best at the beach because salt opens the cuticle. Others claim patience, a second application after lunch, then an hour beneath the sun, unlocks platinum glory. Either way, the ritual feels democratic. A few crumpled dollar bills turn daylight into a stylist. A second rite follows. A frosted pink cylinder emerges, cap popped, and a puff of sugary powder drifts over denim jackets. It's Love's Baby Soft, the signature scent that every junior high locker seems to exhale after 6th period. Half talcum, half flower shop, all optimism. Where your brute declares itself with a slap, this perfume floats, inviting people to lean closer rather than step back. Hours ago, you were trading grooming hacks with men in aviators. How to feather sideburns, how many buttons to leave undone. Out here, the vocabulary changes, but the mission stays the same. Their highlights and powder puff sweetness serve the purpose your gold chain and swagger do. To declare possibility. Spray, spritz, and both sexes rewrite themselves under the same sodium vapor glow. Sun In is more chemistry set than cosmetics case. Veterans mist, comb, and chase the sun like worshippers, reflector visors and AM radios in hand. A cloudy afternoon won't stop them. A hairdryer on high supposedly counts as daylight. Sometimes the gamble misfires. Dark hair turns tangerine and a bandana becomes emergency camouflage. But the story of a bold attempt outlasts any salon correction. Love's Baby. Soft travels farther than its 2-ounce bottle suggests. One spritz colonizes a school bus, settles into yearbook pages, lingers on the cuff of a Letterman jacket for weeks. The ad campaign whispers that innocence is alluring. A slogan now cringeworthy, but intoxicating then. At slumber parties, the bottle passes in a slow circle, each girl claiming a future date who will absolutely notice. By Monday, the hallways smell like a candy store braced for spring formal. Accessibility is the real magic. A summer lawn mowing paycheck buys enough Sun In for a month of chemical sunshine. Baby Soft costs less than a new 45 at the record store. Both tuck easily into a purse or glove box, perfect companions to the mixtape you labored over last night and the sideburns you coaxed this morning. If hitchhiking requires faith in strangers, these products demand faith in yourself. That the sun will show up, that a single spritz can change the room's mood. Portable confidence redraws social maps. A shy sophomore returns from vacation with sun-streaked bangs and suddenly commands prime cafeteria real estate. Baby Soft becomes a scent-based calling card. One whiff guides you from math class to her locker without a word. Where your bell-bottom hem seeks attention visually, their lemon-bright shimmer and candy floss perfume work invisibly, tugging eyes and noses like invisible thread. Memory sticks to them too. Decades from now, someone will crack open a storage box and the faint ghost of Baby Soft will rush out, conjuring roller rink lights and top 40 countdowns. A Polaroid will reveal uneven blonde stripes, and you'll hear the hiss of sun in again, smell melting asphalt, feel the anticipation as clouds part just in time for golden hour. Shouldering your record store bag, you breathe one last hit of powdered sugar air before thumbing the next ride. The fragrance fades after a dozen steps, but the impression lingers. Proof that confidence in the 70s could be bought in a drugstore aisle, applied in a parking lot, and carried miles down an open road. No mirror required. The citrus haze of sun-in still clings to your hair when you swing through the screen door. Record store bag crackling against your hip. You haven't even set it on the yellow Formica before the kitchen telephone explodes in its sharp double ring. Instinct takes over. You snatch the beige receiver, press it to your ear, and say hello to whoever. In this house, every ring is a mystery. The wall phone predates caller ID, so the only way to learn a name is to answer. That uncertainty turns each call into a tiny cliffhanger. Maybe it's your best friend replaying the latest parking lot gossip. Maybe your algebra partner. Maybe, a vinyl siding salesman. You listen for half a breath, trying to place the voice, while the whole house seems to hold still until you decide whether to keep talking or bail. The phone itself feels alive. Its springy cord snakes across linoleum, wraps around chair legs, and tugs after you as you hunt for privacy. You duck into the pantry and ease the folding door almost shut, whispering while the cord kinks between your fingers. Minutes later, you're absent-mindedly winding it into corkscrews and muttering when it knots. That twisty lifeline keeps you anchored, and when it pulls taut, you know you've stretched the conversation as far as physics allows. Because nobody sees who's calling, household etiquette is improv theater. You answer every time just in case. And if the voice is for someone else, you become a barefoot courier racing down the hall yelling, "Julie, phone!" Miss, and the caller hangs up. No voicemail, no inbox. Leaving behind a flat dial tone that somehow feels personal. Mom scribbles numbers on a floral notepad stuck to the fridge. Arrows and underlines trying to capture who rang and why. Even when the handset is silent, it shapes your schedule. After dinner, you hover within lunging distance, waiting for a ring that might never come. First hand on the receiver wins 15 sacred minutes. Parents enforce the limit like air traffic controllers. A second caller hears nothing but the blunt chug-chug of a busy signal. No call waiting, no star 69 rescue. Privacy is elusive. Some families bolt an extension in the basement. Others let the cord snake under bedroom doors. You train your ear for the click that signals mom is quietly listening and switch into code so grown-ups stay in the dark. Physicality stamps every part of the ritual. The heavy thunk of the rotary dial springing back. The faint, greasy warmth of plastic after a marathon chat. The receiver's final clack when you slam it down in triumph or frustration. Those sensations brand the memory deeper than any silent swipe across a glass slab ever could. The phone also teaches patience. One missed dial means spinning all 10 digits again. By the time the dial clacks home, you've vowed to slow down. Wrong numbers become tiny adventures. Sometimes you meet a laughing stranger you'll never speak to again. Weekends spark extension parties. 4 friends call in a daisy chain, each lifting a handset until the line turns into a lo-fi conference. Prank rings follow. Ask the hardware store if its refrigerator is running, then hang up in hysterics until dad confiscates the receiver. Anonymity makes mischief irresistible. Emergency numbers, fire, police, grandma, sit beneath a fruit-shaped magnet, but you memorize them anyway. The fat phone book under the sink doubles as a booster seat in a community directory. Thumbing through its tissue-thin pages feels like scrolling the entire town in slow motion. Even with its quirks, the phone weaves the day together. The girl from the parking lot rings to brag about her new highlights. The hitchhike driver calls to rave about the B-side you recommended. Voices move at ringtone speed, stitching a network wider than your sneakers could ever carry you. Night settles, and you coil the cord back into a neat spiral, leaving it dangling like a question mark for morning. Tomorrow it may summon a lawn mowing gig, an invitation to the roller rink, or another salesman hawking encyclopedias. Whatever the call brings, you'll answer. Because in an era where possibility hides behind every ring, curiosity always wins out over caution. The phone cord is still spiraling back into shape when you spot the square-bodied Polaroid waiting on the counter. A silent reminder that some stories deserve more than voices bouncing down copper lines. One push of its chrome shutter will do what your call could not. Freeze a fragment of life before it slips away. That promise feels almost magical in a decade when film is king. But patience is thin. You angle the lens toward your friend, frame the sun-streaked bangs she bragged about on the phone, and squeeze the trigger. With a mechanical sigh, the camera spits out a damp rectangle that smells faintly of fixer and plastic. Instinct tells everyone to wave it like a miniature flag, even though the shake-to-develop trick is nothing but urban legend. Yet the ritual bonds you all the same. The trickier part is choosing when to shoot, because every cartridge rations a handful of frames, and blowing one on a blurry selfie means forfeiting a snapshot of tomorrow's roller rink glory. While chemistry percolates beneath the photo's glossy skin, conversation drifts to the universal scarcity math of the 70s. You weigh light, composition, and subject against the hard fact of 10 shots per pack and a week's allowance to buy another. That calculation makes you an editor on the fly, a curator of split-second joys. It also changes how you look at everything. Suddenly, the mustard yellow refrigerator is a potential backdrop. The family mutt, a patient co-star. The pile of mail, a still life worth immortalizing. Waiting for the image to bloom teaches its own brand of mindfulness. You watch shadows deepen around the edges of the frame, silhouettes sharpening until the whole moment snaps into permanence. No app filter will ever deliver that slow crescendo of color. The picture develops, and so does your attention span. But the Polaroid is a brick in a backpack. Great for backyard cookouts, lousy for mall marathons. That's where the photo booth takes over. You and 3 conspirators cram onto a squeaky swivel seat, wrench the curtain closed, and feed quarters into a metal slot already tattooed with gum, the color of bubble bath. A timer light blinks red, then white, and flash powder detonates behind the mirror. Eyes recover just in time for frame 2. By the 4th exposure, your faces have melted into giggles, hair askew, cheeks aching. When the strip slides into the retrieval slot, dripping fixer on your sneakers, you tear it apart like a loaf of hot bread. One panel for every pocket, proof of solidarity that will ride in lockers and wallets until the ink fades. These kiosks sprout wherever teenagers orbit. Arcades pulsing with 8-bit beeps, roller rinks humming with disco echo, mall food courts perfumed with cinnamon pretzels. The booth is democracy in aluminum. No gatekeeper, no skill barrier, just a coin and a pose. Inside its cramped walls, every click finds equal footing. Jocks swap varsity jackets for duck faces. Shy kids discover the power of a funny hat. Couples draft a 4-panel love letter that fits in a back pocket. The narrow stool forces elbows and knees into accidental collisions that become inside jokes long after the pictures curl at the corners. Physical photographs change social gravity. Instead of vanishing into digital ether, they migrate. Pinned to corkboards, tucked into mirror frames, traded like baseball cards. Your fridge door turns into a gallery of evolving hairstyles and orthodontic milestones. Birthday cards arrive with a Polaroid tucked inside, each inked with inside jokes and arrows pointing to photobombing siblings. Scrapbooks swell with tape-scabbed snapshots, pages smelling of glue and teenage perfume. Years later, when colors have shifted towards sepia, those pages will time travel you faster than any streaming slideshow. Unlike a call that ends with a brusque click, a picture insists on being revisited. You find yourself pulling today's strip from your pocket at the diner to show a newcomer the moment they missed. That tangible artifact turns strangers into storytellers. A bus driver squints at the glossy square and tells you about the first camera he bought on leave. An aunt recalls the flashbulb pop at her prom. The image aggregates anecdotes the way a record groove collects dust. Each speck makes the experience warmer, more personal. No surprise, then, that film scarcity breeds ingenuity. Kids hack Kodak mailing envelopes into makeshift albums. Parents buy Polaroid film in bulk at discount warehouses. And school yearbooks run fundraisers selling booth vouchers near the cafeteria. Some daredevils pry open spent cartridges to squeeze out last drops of reagent, gambling on a bonus exposure. Every workaround reinforces the lesson. Memories cost time, allowance, forethought. And that price tags moments with value no cloud server can duplicate. By the time dusk settles, the rectangle you shot earlier has dried into a small, perfect truth. 3 friends caught in mid-laugh, sun-in glints in their hair, a kitchen phone cord coiled like a question mark in the background. Tomorrow the image will ride in someone's back pocket, edges softening with every step until it graduates to refrigerator royalty. And decades from now, when caller ID is archaic and cameras are invisible inside glasses, a grandkid will fish that faded print from a shoebox, hold it up to the light, and marvel that a single click of plastic and chemistry once felt like the future. That will be the final punchline. You were there, you captured it, and you didn't even have to shake it. You peel the backing off the fresh Polaroid and almost reflexively wander into the kitchen to tack it under a magnet shaped like a smiling tomato. Stepping through the doorway feels like entering another ecosystem, one where color, texture, and even scent are united by a single, unlikely mascot: the mushroom. Plates, curtains, canisters, and a laminate clock all bloom with toadstool caps in russet, harvest gold, and avocado green, forming a continuous mural of forest floor whimsy that wraps every surface. The craze isn't accidental. Walk into almost any house on your block, and you'll see the same mycological explosion. Proof that the decades back to nature itch found its perfect spore. Your sneakers squeak on linoleum, patterned with vague leaf shapes. Even the floor tries to look organic while being anything but. Overhead, a stained glass pendant lamp filters sunrise into caramel, softening the edges of the room and turning those cartoon fungi into silhouettes worthy of a storybook. You run a fingertip along the raised decal of a ceramic cookie jar, feeling the bump where glaze meets outline. Texture you'll recognize decades later by touch alone. The jar's lid releases with a hollow clink. Inside, Mom's oatmeal raisin stash waits beneath wax paper. She doesn't mind you stealing one this afternoon because tomorrow is grocery day and she'll refill both jar and memory in the same errand. The decor might look kitschy from the future, but right now it feels cutting edge. Earth tones signal modern sensibility, a fashionable break from chrome futurism of earlier years. Friends sprawl at the dinette, and their eyes naturally trail from mushroom print curtains to the matching tea towel draped on the oven door. Conversation starts with the Polaroid you just pinned up, but soon shifts to whose mom found the rare serving platter with 3-dimensional caps that double as handles. Collecting pieces becomes a low-key competition. Swap meets and garage sales are your scavenger hunts. And scoring a new trivet can make Monday's lunch table gossip. Function follows form in surprising ways. The speckled stoneware keeps soup hot longer thanks to its thickness. The wooden handles on skillets stay cool, even when the avocado green stove coils glow molten. Utility and style blur until you barely notice choosing tools based on pattern coherence rather than ergonomics. You pull a mushroom-speckled mug from the dish rack, pour instant cocoa, and watch steam rise like forest mist. Convinced the drink tastes better because the mug's lid wears a little orange cap. Family rhythm revolves around this room. Dad's morning newspaper lands beside a salt shaker shaped like a tiny bolete. The phone, its corkscrew cord freshly untangled from last night's marathon chats, hangs within reach of the Formica table so calls can be taken mid-pot roast. When Grandma visits, she admires the wallpaper and remarks that its warm brown stems remind her of her own 1930s enamelware, proof that trends spiral rather than march. The aesthetic even dictates lighting rituals. At dusk, you flick on under-cabinet bulbs that cast a sepia glow, deepening the mushroom's shadows until they resemble a hillside at sunset. It's the same palette as the Polaroid now fading gently on the fridge. A tangible loop between captured moment and lived space. Each photograph you add becomes another mushroom in the colony, sprouting stories on the metal canvas. Scarcity stitches value into every piece. Replacement plates aren't a two-click solution. They're a 45-minute drive to Woolworths, hoping a new shipment arrived. Chips and cracks become battle scars you patch with cautious dabs of epoxy. Proud that the motif remains mostly intact. The maintenance routine teaches respect for objects. Wash gently. No abrasive pads. Dry before stacking. Friends tease that you guard the dishes like vinyl, but you know a broken saucer means one less node in the design's satisfying symmetry. The kitchen's sensory cocktail, cocoa steam, lemony dish soap, vinyl seat squeaks, gets trapped in those textures. Years from now, you'll catch a whiff of Murphy oil soap on an antique store breeze and picture this very room in full fungal regalia. The memory will eclipse the moment it's tied to. You might forget which recipe Mom clipped that day, but you'll recall how the mushroom spoon rest looked against bubbling tomato sauce. Tonight you'll snap another instant photo. Friends crowding around the table, 2 fingers framing peace signs, cookie jar front and center like a celebrity cameo. The picture will slide under the tomato magnet beside today's print, adding depth to the gallery, which, honestly, is just more wallpaper now. Someday, technology will let you capture thousands of images without thinking. But each will lack the weight of this meaty square of film, scented faintly of fixer and cinnamon oatmeal. And none will feature a backdrop quite as earnest as a kitchen that decided the best way to feel alive was to plaster itself, unabashedly, with mushrooms. The mushroom-splashed kitchen is quiet at dawn, except for the low gurgle of the coffee percolator and the squeak of your chair skidding across vinyl tiles. Sunlight slants through the stained glass pendant, casting caramel patches that dance over the Formica. On the table waits a towering parade of cereal boxes, bright as arcade cabinets, louder than the rooster on the dish towel. You've stacked them like a gambler showing his hand, because breakfast this decade isn't just fuel. It's the first treasure hunt of the day. Your eyes drift past nutrition blurbs straight to the promise splashed across every panel. Free inside. One brand hides a glow-in-the-dark monster sticker, another a plastic submarine that really dives. A third an itty-bitty record you can cut out and spin on Mom's turntable. Flavor comes second. You pick based on which trinket seems worthy of diving knuckles first into sugary drifts. TV commercials call these prizes secret surprises. But everybody knows the secret is always buried at the bottom, beneath a drift of neon-colored loops. That means strategy. Will you brave the parental side-eye and pour half the box into a mixing bowl to fish around? Or do you pour one honest serving at a time, pretending you're patient while plotting a midnight excavation? The stakes are real. Yesterday, your kid brother scored a miniature race car, and the victory lap he ran around the kitchen still echoes. You can't let him keep the household trophy unchallenged. So you choose the box with the heavyweight rattle. Shake once, twice, listening for the thunk that signals plastic against cardboard. Then comes the ceremonial tear at the top seam. The sugary perfume billowing out like circus cotton candy, and the slow tip into your waiting bowl. Bouncing rings chime against porcelain, milk cascades after, and your spoon digs deeper than appetite demands. Somewhere under this technicolor snowfall waits glory. Across the room, the fridge door is a scrapbook of these spoils. Decoder rings, stomp-and-stick suction darts, rub-on transfers curling at the edges. A Polaroid you snapped last night hangs beside them, capturing your friend's mid-guffaw beneath mushroom wallpaper. That image bloomed while you slept, developing alongside your plan for this very bite-and-search operation. You slurp milk, scan box backs for mazes and secret codes. Because even if the toy eludes you today, the packaging doubles as a mini comic book to read between spoonfuls. Your parents tolerate the ritual because Saturday cartoons are moments away. And the hush that descends once the intro theme blares is priceless. The TV clicks on, the dial already set, and you sprawl on shag carpet cradling your bowl like a holy relic. Each slurp synchronizes with animated hijinks. Sugar boosts the laughter. Anticipation sharpens eyesight. The toy remains unsurfaced, but you can feel it gliding closer with every scoop. Proof that perseverance can be crunchy and sweet. The allure isn't marketing alone. It's scarcity. Each box yields exactly one prize, and once claimed, that design retires forever, replaced by a new campaign you'll chase next month. At the grocery store, the cereal aisle feels like a carnival midway. Kids beg, barter, and stage-whispered negotiations. If we get the alien hologram spinner, I'll eat the whole box, promise. Parents weigh sugar content against peace and usually relent. The moment the cart turns away, you clutch the cardboard like a winning lottery ticket. Finding the toy can tilt household diplomacy. Siblings strike treaties, morning chores exchanged for first dibs, then break them in quiet pantry raids after lights out. Some kids flip boxes upside down, slit the bottom with a contraband steak knife, and retape the seam like serial cat burglars. Others invent preemptive sharing packs, agreeing to split a six-pack of spaceman stickers before a single bowl is poured. However you hunt, pulling that plastic talisman from the dusty depths always feels like panning gold. When you finally clink spoon against prize, the thrill zips through your ribs. Milk splashes, cereal scatters, and you hold the object aloft, dripping victory onto the mushroom print tablecloth. For a heartbeat, everyone around the breakfast table leans in, eyes wide, living the find with you. Exactly the communal magic the advertisers banked on. Like finding a treasure, the retro narrator would say, and he isn't wrong. Minutes later, you're clipping the toy to a backpack zipper or dropping it into a jeans pocket beside loose quarters for the arcade. The sugar rush carries you through slapstick cartoons, skateboard races on the driveway, maybe even an afternoon hitch to the lake if luck holds. By bedtime, the trinket will be scratched, sticker edges peeling, but its power persists. It's a receipt for a morning well spent, proof that adventure sometimes hides in cardboard you nearly tossed in the recycling. Years from now, when cereal boxes morph into boring minimalist designs and prizes migrate to app download codes, you'll remember how tangible anticipation tasted. You'll recall the way mushroom clocks ticked louder while you mined marshmallow boulders, how victory clung sugary to your fingertips, and how a single prize could crown you monarch of Saturday morning, at least until the next box begged to be opened. You're still crunching sugared cereal dust from the prize hunt when the midday sun starts needling through the screen door. Nothing washes down that saccharine blast like an ice-cold soda. So you snag a steel-sided can from the fridge, thumb hooked under a silver loop. With a short metallic scream, the ring jerks backward, lifting a razor-sharp tongue of aluminum and flooding the kitchen with carbonation hiss. A split second later, the tab is completely free, weightless, coin-sized, and suddenly useless. So you let it clink onto the mushroom print countertop and watch it skitter across the laminate like a tiddlywink gone rogue. Outside, that little shard joins thousands more glinting in driveways, gutters, and beach sand. The ground is practically paved with pull tabs because everyone treats them like confetti. On hot days, the sidewalk sizzles with tiny pings as kids pop grape soda after orange soda, flicking rings wherever gravity suggests. Slip off your sneakers and you learn fast to scan the concrete. One wrong step can slice like a box cutter, and the summer of bare feet suddenly includes a detour to the ER. Even so, you keep yanking and tossing, because that's how cans work. No one's invented a better way yet. The habit spawns its own subculture. Some crafty souls weave the discarded loops into jangly chains, friendship bracelets, even impromptu belts that clatter with every stride. Camp counselors collect tabs by the jar for art projects. Scout troops string them into curtains that sound like wind chimes when a breeze wanders through the rec hall. You memorize which sodas shed the shiniest silver versus the dull budget brand gray, hunting premium rings the way treasure seekers comb for arrowheads. Your pocket knife earns a new purpose, prying tabs off empties so the can body can be crushed for recycling drives. Aluminum fetches pennies a pound, and the school band needs uniforms, so Saturday mornings find you kicking through bleachers after Little League games, harvesting shards before the custodian sweeps them away. The task is oddly meditative. Flip, twist, pocket, repeat, until your jeans rattle like a slot machine payoff. Adults grumble about litter and bloody heels, but change doesn't arrive overnight. Soft drink companies experiment with zip tops, push buttons, and finally the stay tab, a clever redesign that bends inward instead of flying free. It feels flimsy at first, less dramatic without the airborne ring. But moms cheer the end of driveway shrapnel. By the early 80s, aluminum moons no longer sparkle in curbside gravel. And the idea of voluntarily ejecting a sharp edge into public space starts sounding as reckless as tossing lit matches. Until then, an entire soundtrack hinges on that pull tab snap. It marks the start of backyard wiffle ball innings, punctuates picnic gossip, and syncs perfectly with the opening guitar lick on your latest mixtape. You learn to gauge carbonation by the pitch of the hiss, to aim the tab just right so it ricochets into the hedge, and maybe, if you're lucky, lands near yesterday's cereal toy, forming a private junkyard of remembered thrills. The ritual dovetails neatly with the decade's broader theme. Instant gratification shadowed by mild peril. Like digging elbow deep in sugar for a plastic race car, ripping a pull tab trades convenience for risk. Both moments require a little daring, a willingness to accept that fun sometimes leaves scratches. The mushroom kitchen reminds you to tread carefully. The cereal box warns that treasure hides beneath sticky loops. The soda can proves that even refreshment comes with razor edges. Later, when you pack lunch for a park adventure, you'll drop 2 more cans beside the thermos in your dented metal lunchbox, confident the tabs will double as impromptu game pieces. Someone will inevitably challenge you to a distance flick, and you'll oblige, sending aluminum discs skittering across the picnic table like cosmic checkers. The sun will catch each one mid-flight, flashing a brief wink. Just enough sparkle to pull a younger kid's gaze, just enough danger to make a parent wince. Years ahead, you'll spot a lone pull tab embedded in asphalt like a prehistoric fossil. You'll remember how it felt to free that ring with a single tug, the fizz that followed, and the tiny decision to litter or pocket the shard. You'll run a finger over the smooth, modern stay tab of your current drink and recognize what's missing. The audible punctuation. The flying proof that you opened something new. Nostalgia will sting sharper than any barefoot cut, reminding you that sometimes progress tidies away the very mess that made life interesting. You slide the empty soda can, its aluminum tongue still jutting from the mouth, into the kitchen trash and snap the lid shut. Tomorrow that same can will rattle around the recycling bin at school. But right now, your focus shifts to the battered metal lunchbox waiting on the counter. Yesterday's adventure left a fresh dent along the bottom edge, enough to bend the pop art decal of superheroes into a new, unintended action pose. Still, the latch clicks closed with the authority of a vault, and that's what counts. This tin rectangle is your vault, safeguarding peanut butter sandwiches and reputation in equal measure. Your morning ritual starts with ice-cold thermos math. Fill the glass-lined cylinder 2/3 full of lukewarm milk so it has room to expand in the rising heat. Screw the cup top on tight, then seat it in the plastic ring that squeaks against rusted metal. Scratches spiderweb the interior from previous falls off playground equipment, each one a reminder of dodgeball victories and lunch trading windfalls. Mom warned the lining would shatter if you weren't careful. But after a dozen bike crashes, it persists. Proof that some 70s engineering was built to survive the apocalypse. Outside, sunlight glints off the box's chrome handle as you swing it by your side, sending a tiny bell-like ping through the neighborhood. That sound is a calling card. Other kids look up from hopscotch grids, instantly clocking which cartoon universe you've joined today. A friend hefts his own box, a space opera motif peppered with fresh rust freckles, and you trade nods like two knights showing crests on shields. Stickers from cereal box prizes reinforce the design, layers of personality lacquered over factory paint. Every ding, scratch, and oxidized patch is a timestamp, where newer generations stash ice packs in silicone compartments. You carry living history. The crease from when it tumbled off the bus seat. The faint scar of a forgotten banana. The swirl of thermos paint rubbed away by 1,000 counterclockwise twists. Far from flaws, these blemishes are credentials. You've survived scorching blacktop and sticky lunch tables, so what's a little surface rust? The adults barely blink. They grew up hauling steel toolboxes to factories and farms, so a child's lunch pail is just a miniature apprentice. In fact, the narrator in that throwback video concedes that our parents didn't seem to mind the rust one bit, treating it as normal wear rather than a health hazard. By noon, the box has absorbed half the sun's energy, turning the metal lid into a skillet hot enough to sizzle fingerprints. Release the latch, and the interior exhales a smell, as unmistakable as it is indescribable. A mashup of warm bologna, apple skin, thermos milk, and yesterday's cracker dust. No cooler packs tame the bouquet. It hits you like opening a steamer trunk in midsummer. Friends wrinkle noses, but everyone's lunches carry similar terroir. Call it ode to cafeteria, so teasing is half-hearted, more ritual than ridicule. Besides, any kid who dares to complain will beg for your cheese puffs when their own chips go soggy. Trading is an art. A pristine pudding cup earns high value early in the week. By Thursday, the market pivots to anything that hasn't fused with melted ice cream sandwiches in the cafeteria freezer. You flip the lid to reveal your offerings, hinge squeaking like a haunted house door, and negotiations begin. Even the box's graphics influence deals. A hero holding a ray gun might score you an extra cookie from a sci-fi fanatic, while a pastoral scene limits bartering power to the granola crowd. The lunchbox is both marketplace stall and billboard, showing off favorite pop culture brands long before wearable merch floods stores. According to the recollection video, these embossed illustrations were the main draw. letting kids show off their favorite characters from pop culture while ferrying tuna salad through sweaty hallways. Inevitably, disaster strikes. A careless elbow topples the box and the thermos cannonballs onto linoleum, sending a shudder through the room. You freeze, half expecting shattered glass tinkling inside the shell. But fortune smiles. The liner survives and lunch resumes, though your heart doesn't settle until the final bell. You slide the thermos back into its ring and notice a fresh nick in the paint where it scraped the latch. Another scar, another story. On the walk home, the tin sides clack against your leg, keeping time with each step. The metal radiates residual heat, warming the hand that grips the handle even as a breeze whips through your hair. You could stash the empty box in your backpack, but carrying it openly feels right, like announcing to the neighborhood that you just finished another chapter of grade school survival. Tomorrow, the dented rectangle will host new contents, maybe a grape jelly sandwich sealed in wax paper, maybe leftover meatloaf wrapped in foil. But the container itself remains constant, a dependable sidekick aging alongside you. Decades later, you'll spy one of these boxes in an antique shop. Its decals faded, interior smelling faintly of old crayons, and the nostalgia will hit harder than carbonation fizz. You'll run a finger over the rusted hinge and hear phantom cafeteria chatter. Taste lukewarm milk. Feel the sting of blacktop under bare feet dodging stray pull tabs. Modern, insulated bags might keep yogurt chilled for 6 hours, but they'll never clank, never rust, never wear their history on the outside. And that, you'll realize, was the real lunch. A daily serving of character buried beneath the sandwich crusts, seasoned by sun, sweat, and the unmistakable metallic tang of 1970s adventure. Thanks for strolling down memory lane with us tonight. If these 1970s snapshots sparked a smile, tap subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us in the comments what time it is where you're watching, and which retro detail made you coziest. Your stories keep this channel spinning like a well-loved vinyl. Now dim the screen. Let that gentle static of nostalgia settle over you and breathe easy. Tomorrow will arrive soon enough. But for now, drift off knowing you're wrapped in the warm glow of simpler times. Good night, dreamers, and we'll see you again in the next rewind.